Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. We've been watching this area across the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Remember, this is that one area. It's been working its way all the way across the Atlantic, through the Caribbean, and time again, it was like it has a potential. It's going to take a bit longer, very disorganized, and it became potential tropical cyclone number 6 yesterday. Today, it is now Tropical Storm Francine. You can see a large area of convection with this, but it's actually pretty interesting because the center is not right under all this deep convection. It's on that southern side of it, which tells us a couple of things. It tells us it's getting more organized because we're seeing all this convection, but it also tells us it still has a ways to go, that it's not a completely well-formed system because you're still seeing all that convection on the northern side of this storm. Now, as you watch that track kind of bouncing around, what you're actually looking at is where really the hurricane reconnaissance plane just kind of relocating the center of this storm. They're kind of struggling at first to find exactly where you have a center. When you're talking about a potential tropical cyclone, big reason why it is not a tropical system at that point is they're not finding that well-defined center of circulation. So if you're going to say, hey, I have got a system that doesn't have a well-defined center of circulation, and then you're told to find a center of it, well, you're going to maybe struggle with that. And then once you do find it, it's quite obviously a lot of the time it's not right where you thought it was before. So that's why it's not moving that fast, it's just kind of relocating that center further towards the north. So right now, 23 degrees north, 94.9 top winds right now are at 50 miles an hour. It's moving to the north-northwest at 5 miles an hour. So it's a slow moving storm, which is going to give it the opportunity to be out over water a little bit longer. We've got some very warm water across the western Gulf of Mexico. So if it can buy some more time in an area where conditions are favorable, it has that opportunity to strengthen even more. Now, as it continues to strengthen, we do have a trough which is developing to the north of this that will help to pick this system up, pull it on towards the north, and eventually turn it more towards a northeasterly direction. So that's what you're seeing in that forecast track. Becoming a hurricane, it looks like. Winds right around right around 85 miles an hour, and then heading in that general direction of the Louisiana coastline. That's why you see that pink shade under there. That is a hurricane watch, and that will likely be upgraded to a hurricane warning sometime later on today. So you look at the various computer models, and even though we're talking about a system that was ill-defined and just in those formative stages right now, computer models are actually in pretty good agreement. Now, you notice you are seeing a little bit more of a cluster, a little bit more towards the right. That is one of the things the Hurricane Center's picked up on that as well, that models are kind of nudging this a little bit further on towards the right, and they've kind of adjusted their official forecast track over the past run or so. And we're likely to see even more adjustments with this because remember, we started with computer models that just had this very ill-defined center, and it was a bit further to the south. Now that we have a better defined center, it's more towards the north, it stands to reason that we could see more changes in that forecast track. How much of a change? That remains to be seen. Now we're also getting a lot more of that data from the hurricane reconnaissance plane going into the computer models, so that will help to kind of pinpoint and redefine that track as we go through the coming days. But here we are on the Fox model. Notice it's working its way towards the north, but it's staying over water. But it will bring some gusty winds and a lot of rain along the Texas coastline as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. Signs are some drier air could be starting to wrap around this system as we head into Wednesday, and that looks like when it'll make landfall at this point across the Louisiana coastline as we head into late Wednesday afternoon, heading into the evening hours, bringing the very heavy rain. Storm surge along the coastline up to 10 feet as well. So we're looking at the European, the GFS, and our own exclusive Fox model. The other thing that I've done, just to kind of give you an idea of how all this plays into the official forecast, is I've dropped the official forecast track right on top of it as far as those icons are concerned. So you see the European, you see the green, that is our Fox model, and then the GFS in red. So this very, very closely following what we're seeing with the Fox model. The European, a bit slower. They're all pretty close as far as where it expects to make landfall, but the European being slower, the Fox model being a bit faster, and that does look like what the Hurricane Center is thinking as well. Maybe a little bit faster of a movement with this, making landfall as we head into Wednesday evening. You're also looking at those winds with this right around the time of landfall. There you see on the scale, that's 75 to 100. They're putting that forecast at right around 85 miles an hour, so it certainly makes sense with that. A couple of other areas that we're watching in the tropics further out into the Atlantic. You've got one area there which has now been designated as Invest 92, putting about that 60% chance of development over the next couple of days and a 60% chance over the next 7 days. And then another area that's further out there that looks like it'll take a bit more time to develop. So here are those two areas. This here is Invest 92. We've been talking about this for weeks and weeks now, that dry Saharan dust. And notice where that is. That is a bit further on towards the east. So this isn't an area where it's moved away from a lot of that dust. So that's going to give it the opportunity. And then it's also an area where we have some lower wind shears. That's why this is in that spot, that kind of that just little sweet spot there where it has found its way into an area where conditions are conducive that we could see some development with this. So here's that Invest 92 as we head through the next several days. Looks like some slow development. The nice thing is with this, model's really indicating that as we head into next week, we'll see more of a turn with this heading out over open water. So we've got a lot to watch in the tropics all of a sudden, and we will keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.